Hello folks, hope you're all doing well. We have adjusted a few settings on the old microphone and moved it a bit closer to my face, so hopefully this sounds a lot better than it did. This is Northern Exile and this is Hobby Nightmares. So, I've been told this microphone is one of the best ASMR microphones on the market, so Northern Sleep Club, you're welcome. But I'm not blasting out your eardrums anymore. Anyway, let's move on to our first hobby nightmare of the day. It is also nice that I don't really have to strain my voice anymore. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's good. It is from Toast, our first hobby nightmare. Hello, Toast. And he says, Hey North, I doubt this gets read on the channel, but if so, please call me Toast. I have done. This is not really a hobby nightmare, just a regular nightmare for my local game store. Not much of a story either, just really asking for a little bit of help. This Saturday morning, the 25th of the 1st, my local game store, known as Game Haven, was broken into and robbed of over $17,000 worth of mainly Magic the Gathering cards from their inventory. This store and its community are what got me into tabletop games a few years ago, and in those few years, I've acquired nearly 3,000 points of Chaos Space Marines, and I'm rapidly approaching 2,000 points for my Drukhari list. I've fallen hard for this hobby because of this store, and it is mainly thanks to this store and its amazing community that I've stuck around. The owner of the store is truly a great guy, who just wants to have a fun and safe space for everybody to express themselves and make some good friends along the way. I could go on forever about how much of an amazing place this is, but I'll stop there and simply ask for maybe a shout out of the GoFundMe that has been created in order to help the store recover from this loss. I will link it at the end of the email. He is very hesitant to ask for help, and so a few members of the community have made the page in order to hopefully take some stress off of him, and as a thank you for all the good times we've had in the store over the years. Thank you for all you do for the community, and all the days of work you've got me through. One of these days, I will write in about a real good story I've been had brewing in my head for a while. Cheers, have a good one, Toast. Okay, well, if any of you, it will be in the description down below, if any of you actually want to help, go give them some help. It's always good that we can do these kinds of things for small stores. And also, if you're thinking about giving any money to me this month, or maybe rethink that if it's a couple of quid and send it their way instead, so they can get their inventory back up and they can recover from what must be a very, very stressful time. North is the enemy of stress. I don't like stress. Right, so if we can lower that stress on somebody else, let's do it, right? Let's get in there and give them some help. We also don't want to see small stores that are actually good going out of business, just saying. Alright, let's move on to our second hobby nightmare, and our final one for the day, but it is a big one. That's what she said. My missus read this last night, and I read half of it, so I stopped a page or two in. But my missus read this last night and was like, no way, next to me, so I was like, oh wow, this must be a good one. So, this hobby nightmare is from Mike, and he says, Hello North. I hope all is going well wherever you are. It is very cold over here in Canada, but that is nothing new. I write to you today with a hobby nightmare that is a bit of a self-own, and how, as a dude in this hobby, you should always remain strong, my brothers. You will see what I mean a little later on. I myself have been into Warhammer for about 2 decades now, starting with the Assault on Black Reach box, and I've never really looked back in my love of Ultramarine since then. You were right the other night in your stream in what you said. The more people hate on Ultramarines and call them out for being boring or hogging the limelight, the more I tend to love them. I mean, I also think that I'd like to see other chapters get their time in the sun, don't get me wrong, but somebody telling me I should not like something is never going to actually result in me not liking that thing. I agree. Like, I'm very much on the same mind. And Ultramarines are cool, dude. I don't think anyone has that thought that Ultramarines aren't cool. Of course they are. They're awesome, right? But at the same time, I think people just want a bit more, shall we say, variety in what they're getting. But you brought that up yourself, and I am totally there with you as well. I'm a contrarian in that kind of a way. If somebody tells me that Grey Knights suck, that just makes me want to love them more. It really does. I met my wife, who we will call Rachel, at my local hobby store 13 years ago during a small 40k campaign where she stomped me with her Necrons. I have no idea what came over me because I am never usually like this, but I got a vibe from Rachel. She would laugh at or most of the things I was saying, would play with her hair all the time, make flirty comments during the game, and so I decided to just ask for her number afterwards and shoot my shot. Most of my fear was not in getting rejected, but in being seen to be rejected. But happily, Rachel didn't reject me. We went on our first date and have not really looked back, getting married in the summer of 2015. Ladies, that is true. Like, if you're, like, wondering why you never get asked out at a game store, that's why. That's why. We're not really afraid of you saying no. I don't think any man's afraid of getting rejected. Do you know what I mean? We're just not. We're not afraid of getting rejected. We're afraid of being seen to get rejected, as he's just said there. That is absolutely what we're afraid of. Because in a hobby store, remember, people judge. So if you ask a girl out and she says no and the whole store knows about that, not only do you have to have the humiliation of seeing that girl there at the store every single day, but now everybody knows that you asked the girl out in the store and you got rejected, and you can be made to feel like a bit of a creep. You know, it's not right, but it is where we are, unfortunately. It is where we are. But this guy did the right way. He did it stealthily, and he got away with it, which is good. Happy days. Alright. North. Have you ever had a period in your life that you look back on and think, yeah, I was really happy there? Well, that is summer 2015 for me. Nothing mental aside from my wedding went on, but I was at university, later in life than most, and working towards my dream job in engineering. The summer was warm and hot. The hobby scene around me was awesome. It was just one of those years and times. Anyway, our relationship has had those ups and downs, and things like that. Rachel doesn't really do the hobby anymore, and as commitments started to pile up, the pressure of our relationship grew and grew. Well, before I carry on, yes, I have had that time in my life. I've had a few times like that. You never really realise how happy you are in a moment until you look back and go, wow, I was really happy there. You know what I mean? It's a tragedy of life, but at least you were happy at that time. But one of mine is also summer 2015. I always remember that summer. So there were two occasions that summer where I was like, wow, I'm really happy. One was when my sister came to visit, and I was upstairs working away at the computer, then watching YouTube, doing some writing, having some fun. I went downstairs and she was there, and we sat down in the living room and we ate a meal together, and we talked for like 2 or 3 hours before I went back upstairs and did more writing, more gaming, and having more fun. And it was like, in a simple way, it was one of the most, shall we say, normal but nice times I've ever had. It was such a lovely time. And then a little while after that, I was seeing a girl from America at the time, and things were going really well there too. And we'd done some gaming and done some like speaking during the day. I'd gone downstairs and I made myself an amazing curry, and I sat down, I switched the TV on, and I was watching a playthrough of Tales from the Borderlands, which had just been released that summer. Really good summer game, and I was watching that, and it was brilliant. And I looked out of the window of my mum's living room, and because I went back there for several weeks over the summer break just to say hi and see family and stuff, and I saw a blossom tree out there that she has in the front garden, and it was blooming, and all the blossoms were going everywhere. And it was a really weird moment where I just sat back and realizing I had a full night of gaming with my friends ahead of me, and thinking, wow, like, life's good, life is good. And and years later on, I indeed did say, yes, it was indeed good. I did have a good time. And I would also say that I'm living through one now, by the way. I'm having a really good time right now in life. Things are going really, really well. So after all the stress is done with. So it is tragic that you never really see the really good times until they're done. But at the same time, I can definitely see that we shouldn't get too caught up in that depression, because at the end of the day, you were happy though. You have to have been happy to realise later on that you were happy. You know what I mean? Anyway, moving on. I'll read that last bit again. Anyway, our relationship had some ups and downs. Rachel doesn't really do the hobby anymore, and as commitments started to pile up, the pressure of our relationship grew and grew. It got to the stage where Rachel didn't really like me spending time on my hobbies when I got back from work, as we had so little time together as it was. She was a surgeon, and still is a surgeon after all, and my job is also extremely busy and fraught. I got that, but still, we fought hard to find our workaround, and sometimes, as couples do, we just fought. In this time, I have no shame in admitting I was kind of miserable and being burned on both ends. Okay, cool. I think you mean you're burning the candle at both ends, but I know what you mean. Doesn't sound fun at all. It was several years later, in 2019, when the problems, at least with this hobby, Nightmare, where it goes off the rails, rears their heads. Well, head, I guess, because the Nightmare was a single person, Carmen. Essentially, Carmen was smoking hot. Tattoos on her legs and arms. Okay, stop. Red flag. It's on the track. Stop. Okay. Please do not get offended if you have tattoos on your arms and legs and you're a young lady, right? I am sure that there are outliers. I am sure that there are women who are perfectly lovely girls who just happen to like having tattoos on their arms and legs. I'm sure, right? But if they exist, I have not met them. I've said on the channel before that before I went to university I was working in bars. Namely, metal bars, rock bars, biker bars. I would see a lot of these women, and they would always cause issues. You know, whenever I dated them, whenever I went out with them, whenever I did anything around them, you know, they would always cause trouble. There would always be drama. Always. And at the very least, if you dated one, she would have serious issues going on. Either daddy issues or abandonment issues, or I don't know. But there would be serious things that were going on that would tank that relationship before it ever got going and would introduce a load of stress to your life. Again, I'm sure there are outliers out there, but as soon as I see a woman, no matter how hot she is, with tattoos all over her arms and legs, I immediately think, trouble. Especially chest area too, trouble. Nah, that's trouble. And you can say all you want, well, you just can't handle me. Okay, yeah, cool, let's go with that explanation, leave me alone. I've been with enough of you to realise, yeah, it's trouble. I don't know why that is a thing. It just, again, this will come up a few times in this video, right? But I could sit here and say, and not pass comment, but I can't lie to you and say that I haven't lived the life that I've lived, right? If I have experience that I think can help people, and if I have experience that gives me some insight into what you're saying, I'm going to bring it up, right? Me not saying anything would be dishonest, and I'd be saying something that I didn't feel or mean, right? It just so happens, I'm sorry, this is the life I've lived. I dated a lot of women who were into heavy metal, rock music back in the day. That was my type, right? And when they had loads of tattoos over their arms and legs and chest areas, most of the time, all of the time actually, they were drama queens. And they introduced a load of stress to my life that I didn't need. Anyway, she had an amazing figure that she showed off at the hobby store in classy but tight clothes. I'm guessing you mean you could see her arms and legs but nothing else, okay. A real attitude to her mannerisms and how she acted as if she was just another one of the boys in the store. Yeah, dude, these are all red flags. These are all red flags. Most of my friends are men, because women are just so full of drama. No, my girl, women don't like you because they don't trust you around their boyfriends. Simple. I didn't really pay her much mind, but eventually I noticed that I was catching her eye, and, obviously, she was catching mine. But that was all that it was. She had been told in passing about my wife when other dudes, as they like to do, tried to sabotage my chances by bringing my wife up to me in conversation whilst Carmen was right next to me, or even in the conversation with us at the time. That's some beta behaviour there, man. Like, I just do. That's terrible. Hey, Mike, yeah, you know your wife? Dude, if you do that, if you do shit like that, get in the bin, get in the sea. Eventually, during a game, Carmen asked me why Rachel was never in the store with me. I told her eventually that Rachel was not really into the hobby anymore, and Carmen responded that if she had a man like me with a cheeky smile, she would not let me out of her sight. I'm not gonna lie, that made my dick twitch a little bit. We've all been there. We've all been there. Don't you judge. Don't you judge. I see you driving that car, making that dinner, sitting in work, getting things done, shaking your head. Don't you judge. We've all been there. We've all been there where a woman said something or done something, and your dick just goes, "Hey, what's going on in here? Hey, you gonna get me out the pants now?" Right? We've all been there, right? You may not be at full mast, but there's a little twitch. It goes, "Oh, that felt nice. Do that again." Right? Yeah. Our dicks have minds of their own, ladies and gentlemen. As I've said before, you know, most men and their bodies don't know the difference between a woman and sitting at the back of a bus because they get too excited by the vibrations. Yeah. Moving on. Things kind of just went on from there quite naturally, with nothing big happening aside from flirting here and there. But we started messaging back and forth on Discord a lot. Of course you did. Of course you did. When the time came for a hobby trip to a local grand tournament in Toronto, I jumped at the chance to play because I'd finally finished my third company Ultramarines and wanted to give them a spin. I also knew Carmen was going, and won't make any excuses here, I wanted to see her. Well, at least you're sticking to your guns. When I got onto the minibus to head down there, Carmen got on and sat right next to me. We spent the whole trip listening to each other's music and talking about life, the universe, and everything. When we watched the movie on my iPad, she fell asleep on my shoulder. Dude. This is a layup. This is a layup. This is done. It's finished. It kinda goes on from here. The local grand tournament went alright for me. I came in 16th out of 45, which was a great result for somebody who was not really a tournament guy. Me and Carmen had drinks at the bar, and eventually, with Dutch courage, Carmen told me that she liked me a lot, but knew I was in a relationship and that it was only starting to really screw with her. I told her that I liked her too, a lot, but as she said, I was not available. After a while, I went back to my room for a cold shower. Can't blame me, dude. Only to hear a knock at the door. It was Carmen, and she wanted to talk. I let her in. Mistake. And as soon as the door shut, well, you know, we fell into each other's arms, and that was that. We both felt terrible in the morning, and I told Carmen that this could never happen again. I may have my issues in my marriage, but I was happy deep down. Doing this just made me realise what a fucking idiot I was for not giving Rachel all my time and attention. I only told Carmen the first part, obviously, to save her feelings there, and she agreed. She regretted it too, and we agreed to just be friends from now on. We headed home separately this time, and I completely avoided the hobby store for a good number of weeks, throwing myself into my relationship and determined to solve our issues. Alright. You still were a dick for doing this, but okay, you're fronting up. After a while, I went back to the hobby store, only to feel a very strange atmosphere there. It was like ice. No one would really talk to me, and the store owner said next to nothing to me, when usually he was so jovial. Dude, I need to say, like, a couple of things here. And I think every woman listening to this will back me up on this, okay? Just as men have bro code, we have omerta, right? We have certain things you don't do to your friends, right? Or you don't do to other men in general. If you can help it, and you get away with it, right? Don't do it. Women also have something similar. And the number one A1 thing you don't do is steal another woman's man. Right? You can flirt all you want, you can do that all you want, no problem. You're still a bit of a hoe bag for doing that, but you're not the worst of the worst. If you actively try to or succeed in stealing another woman's man, you are a hoe bag, the worst of the worst, and every woman on planet Earth hates your fucking guts. Here's a controversial thing. Do you want to know why they hate your guts? Right? Because it's not difficult to do. Guys, like in a situation like mine, when they're in a secure, happy relationship, yeah, it's next to impossible to actually get them to cheat on their wives or their girlfriends. I get that, yes. But all you need is a chink in the guy's armour, a little bit of misery, a little bit of unhappiness. If you can find that chink, it's only a matter of time if you turn the heat up on him before he breaks and does something that is going to tear his relationship apart. You know that, I know that, men know that, right? Getting a man to cheat on a woman who he's not 100% happy with is not difficult. It's not. It just isn't, right? We're built to do that. Our bodies are telling us, do it, do it, do it, do it, all the time. As I just said, guys, we sit at the back of a bus looking at the exhaust and our bodies going, do it, do it, do it, do it, it'll feel really good, right? Like, you know, it's not difficult. That's why women hate your fucking guts. Because you're not doing something difficult. All you're doing, you're a net negative to the human race. All you're doing is spreading misery. And this does exist, guys. Fucking Dolly Parton wrote an entire song about it. Jolene, right? It's not difficult. It really isn't difficult. If you're the kind of woman who does that, to other women, you're the worst of the worst. You really are. Okay? Now, men need to listen to this next bit. If you meet a woman, and the woman, whether she has tattoos on her arms or legs or not, if you meet a woman, and she is aware that you are in a relationship, and she wants to get with you anyway, run. Run, and do not look back. That woman is fucking crazy. She's crazy or she's a sociopath. She has absolutely no cause of empathy whatsoever. She doesn't give a shit. And if she will sleep with you knowing that you're in a relationship, what do you think she's going to do when you don't want to sleep with her anymore? Okay? What do you think she's going to do? Run. Get the hell out of there as soon as you can. And don't look back. Do not look back. Or grow a pair of balls, split up with the person that is making you miserable or you're not quite happy with, because you might want to cheat on them, and then go and bang this chick all you want, right? A friend of mine has a very, very cynical and horrible thing that he says, but it's so outrageous that it crosses the line into being funny again. He says, use once and discard. Right? With a woman who is more than willing to cheat, to take you away from another woman, right? To snake another woman like that, that's all you should be doing with them. Sleep with them once and away you go. Put two things on, right? Wear two forms of protection. Don't get caught out and leave. Right? That's what you should be doing. But ideally, don't do anything at all. Even if you're, I know any port in a storm, but no. Ideally, don't do anything at all. You know, leave. Because a woman like this is gonna throw a hand grenade into your life and watch it all collapse, just for the hell of it, right? Okay, where were we? Okay, I'll read that bit again. After a while, I went back to the hobby store, only to feel a very strange atmosphere there. It was like ice. No one would really talk to me, and the store owner said next to nothing to me, when usually he was so jovial with me, because I was a big spender. After walking around confused as to why people were being so weird, I bought a White Dwarf magazine and just left. In my heart of hearts, I thought some of the guys there saw me and Carmen together at the GT, and thought I was a bit of a dick for doing that, and that's fine. And I made a note to never go to that store again. I mean, it sucked that I'd lost my only place to game and the only store in my local area, but I took it as the cost of doing business and making stupid mistakes that I would never repeat. It also kept anything connected to Carmen out of my life, which was fine by me. Well, I agree. It is the cost of doing business. Okay, I agree. Carrying on. Carmen and I had basically exchanged a few messages since me getting back, with Carmen wanting to continue future liaisons and me telling her, calmly but firmly, that that would not be happening. She then tried to meet up as friends, but I am not an idiot. A one-on-one meet-up with a woman, especially if you've slept with them in the past, if you're a straight man, is a fucking date, or could turn into one real quick. There are exceptions, of course, but most of the time, that's the energy, and I stayed far away from it. You're right. You're right. You are right. There are exceptions to it, of course. There are definitely exceptions. But a lot of the relationships I've been in have started with, you start off as friends. I've even had women tell me, this isn't a date, right? This isn't a date. We're just here as friends. Yep, sure. Shut up. Sure, okay, yeah, and then you're in a relationship with them for several years after that. Do you know what I mean? Like, shut up. You know what it is. I know what it is. Let's get on with it, shall we? I have no fear telling you, my current missus did that as well. We're just going out for a little outing together. It's not a date, okay. It's not a date though, okay, no problem. Yeah, it's definitely not a date. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're living together now, by the way. Just so you should, just to really put the last nail in the coffin of that argument. Anyway, after work one day, I got back to find Rachel sobbing. Oh God, oh no. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. She showed me messages she had gotten from friends, quote unquote, of mine at the hobby store who had contacted her with allegations from Carmen about me. Dude, I thought Carmen would just message your woman going, I slept with your man. No, the normal thing. Dude. Namely that I had gotten her drunk and taken advantage of her at the GT all those months ago. Apparently, Carmen had gone in when I cooled off on her and got the guys on a video call and sobbed to them about sleeping with me and how it was a massive mistake, and eventually when they asked her if I had done anything controlling during our time together, she had said that I did, and that I'd gotten her drunk. That was all the evidence they needed. They quietly ostracized me and then, months later, apparently grew a pair of balls and decided to blow up my marriage from afar. Wow. Dude. I can see what you were trying to do here, Mike, right? What you were trying to do is you didn't want to go cold turkey on Carmen, right? You were trying to just talk to her platonically on Discord and then wind down the contact until it eventually stops, right? The respectful thing to do, right? When you don't want to speak to somebody anymore. So I see what you were doing there. I see your game, but at the same time, this is blown up in your face quite spectacularly. In terms of accusations like this, I need to say something because I think me and my friend Steady was talking about this the other night about because there were YouTubers in the hobby space in tabletop wargaming and in gaming in general who have been accused of several things by not by different women but by case by case, like this guy was accused of this by this girl over here, this guy was accused by this, and you always see all of their friends running to the hills and calling them fit to burn and saying that I'd never want to be friends with that guy, I disavow any knowledge of ever being with him, he's not my friend, blah, blah, blah. I said to Steady, listen, I don't know, all I can say to you is, right, if you ever make it and you're famous, or even if you're not, and something comes out about you, do you know who I'm going to speak to first? You. Because you're my friend. I'm going to come to you and say, mate, I've heard this, what's going on? And if you tell me, North, that is not true, that didn't happen, and then you explain to me what did happen, do you know what else I need? Nothing. Because you're my friend, you're my brother, and that's it. I'm on your side. All I need is your word. If you give me your word as my friend that that didn't happen, or that they've got their wires crossed, and you explain to me what did happen, and I'm satisfied, that is it, I'm done. I don't need to hear from anybody else. I'm done, right? Because you're my friend. Now, if I hear proof that you were lying to me, then yes, we will no longer be friends, of course, right? But until that day comes, if anything ever happened, I'd be like, no, this is my friend, and I'm on his side until I receive proof otherwise, right? And that is it. That is it. And he said the same to me. He said, yeah, man, like, I'm the same. Like, if that ever happens, I will ask you first. I will get it from you, because I know if something did happen, you'd tell me. You'd say, man, I made a huge mistake here. Right, you know what I mean? Like, and I said vice versa. Yeah, true. Right? So, for them to do this to you is rat behaviour. Ratty behaviour. It really is. Not good at all. Not good at all. My God. And to do it from afar as well. Nah. This is some weak-ass shit, this. This is men who can't get laid, and they've done this out of jealousy. I'm telling you now. Telling you right now. Because you know Carmen's not going to sleep with any of these dudes. You know. It's the most unattractive thing ever. What, you rat your friends out? Dude, get a grip. Get a grip. Alright. I sat down with Rachel, and I told her everything. All of it. How it was an idiotic mistake. How I was so happy now in the marriage, and that I had backed away from Carmen to let her know nothing like that would ever happen again. I told Rachel that even if she didn't want to be with me anymore, I wouldn't go back to Carmen, as the whole thing was a stupid fucking mistake, and I made it whilst under the influence, and, let's be honest, at the time, I was kind of miserable. This was not an excuse. This mistake was mine, and I told Rachel that, and I also told her that if she wanted a divorce, I'd grant it, no problem. She could have the apartment, and I'd get right out of her hair. I told her I was packing my things, and I'd go until she gave me leave to return to talk things out, or she served me with divorce papers. The ball was now in her court. I left and went to stay at my friend's house, my bro Steve. Okay. You did the right thing, man. You took it on the chin, said, listen, I'm going to give you all of the assurances in the world that you need. You have your time to think. I'm going to get out of your hair. I'm going to go. You did the right thing. Now, Steve had warned me from the start about Carmen. She didn't really have a rep. He just took one look at her and decided she was bad news. Steve is a wise man and a man after my own heart. Steve was older than me by about 15 years and was quite the Lothario back in the day, sleeping with upwards of 150 women, or so I am told. So he kind of had that experience on me, as he'd also been in a band for 15 years that was kind of successful back in the day. Okay, yeah, dude, Steve's been around. I managed to clear my name with the hobby store by showing them all the texts from Carmen and I had exchanged about the night we'd spent together and how much Carmen had loved our time together. I even had her telling me on text she only told me she regretted it because she thought I regretted it and didn't want me to feel bad. So yeah, she was quickly found out, but not shunned by the hobby store. I told them I'd never go back to their store regardless of whether they banned her or not, so they could just keep their cum bucket and have fun. Oh shit. Wow. Cum bucket. There is a visceral image there. But you kept the receipts, and good on you. Good on you. Right, so you had the receipts of her saying that she loved your time together and it wasn't a mistake and she was happy and and it was consensual and she wasn't too drunk. Alright, well that's a smart thing to do. Well, not that you're going to delete all your text, but yeah, very good. But there is another version of this story, I know it, when you're stupid and you think you can get away with it, so you delete all your text from her because you want to keep it from your wife, and then when you need evidence, you don't have any, right? I'm wondering why you did that. Can you email me again? Because it does seem like you don't really give a shit about the store, but then you wanted to clear your name with them. Maybe it's because you just wanted to clear your name and you don't want people thinking that of you, and I get that completely, but maybe clear that up for me in a further email. A few months later, Rachel did indeed contact me. Ooh, she wanted to talk. I headed over to the apartment and we sat down. She had been made aware of the goings-on and evidence from Steve and her own friends. She told me she needed a guarantee of trust after what had happened, and I told her I'd do anything for her. We put a clause in our post-nuptial agreement that stated that from this moment on, if any infidelity happened and was proved, the victim of it would receive the apartment and a no-contest divorce with a substantial cash settlement. I was going to give her all of that anyway, so I just signed the papers. I really hope she doesn't take you to the cleaners now. Rachel forgave me and we continued on, navigating some choppy waters after the fact, but eventually settling down into being more happy than we ever really have before all this crazy shit went down, which is really insane. We have a kid now, a son, and we actually sold the apartment and moved to a house in the suburbs. I know, that's mental. I have never strayed since, and the thought of hurting the mother of my child like that makes me feel physically ill. We do not speak about Carmen or that period, and when my son gets older, I am going to tell him about what thinking with his dick can do to his life if he's not careful. Thanks for all you do, North. It means the world to me. Cheers, Mike. Dude. That was an incredible hobby nightmare, and it was actually a hobby nightmare, a hobby life nightmare. My God. Well, enjoy your Ultramarines, man. Enjoy your Ultramarines, and yeah, you're right. And for those of you, there'll be loads of you out there who are saying, well, why did she need him to sign something, you know, to come back to him? Doesn't love mean anything? Dude, don't be so fucking naive. Don't be so fucking naive. Alright? This woman deserves a bit of peace of mind, right? She deserves a bit of peace of mind to say, listen, I'm taking you back because I love you and I want this to work. But if you ever do this to me again, I'm taking you to the fucking cleaners. She deserves that, dude. This is a strong-ass woman with a lot of maturity who was able to see that a mistake had been made and forgave him and is now reaping the benefits of that choice. If you don't like that, fucking swivel and get in the sea. Strong woman, I approve. I approve. Right. But then again, Mike, don't ever do this again, son, or I'll come over there and clap your ass myself. Not clap your ass. No, that sounds awful. That sounds awful. No, I mean, like, you know. Anyway, moving on. I love you a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more 40k Garantage, and then I'll be back on Friday for some more hobby nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll speak to you then. Have a good one. Bye now.